Welcome to Bird's Eye View, where I take you through one of my cycling adventures. I'm at the Canadian National Gravel Championships just outside of Calgary, Alberta. The event's called Goes to the Gravel, put on by the Deadgoat Cycling Club. It's located in Water Valley, Alberta, which is an hour northwest of Calgary. It's a 120-kilometer lollipop course heading into the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. There's 2,000 meters of elevation gain, and most of that's in the first half. Here's a cool map the organizers put together with all the landmarks. Just landed in Calgary. Off to the car rental. Super fast. Car's ready. No wait. Around noon. Just checking out the sights. More tourism. Welcome to Calgary. Yeah, there it is. I didn't go up, but... Horse-themed monument number 1. This horse sculpture looked like the artist who made it could have been the same one who had sculpted this World War I soldier that was located outside the Black Watch Museum in Perth, Scotland. The G7 is in town, so lots going on here. Calgary's just a 2-hour time difference from Toronto, but it's a 4.5-hour flight. They're made for a real early morning. I'm going to store some energy and have a nap this afternoon and be ready to take on that race tomorrow morning. Check this place out, Bo Cyclery, and this is where the registration line is. So I'm gonna get in there, some old championship Canadian jerseys, super cool.
Okay, I'm here with Warren Muir. Strategy for the race is hang on as long as possible and what we have at the end.
So again, thank you for all visiting.
All right, it's dry. It's about 10 degrees right now. How warm is it going to get? I think it's supposed to get up to like 18, 20. Okay, 18 maybe. And water bottles, how many?
2 1 liters.
2 1 liters. Okay, guys. I think I've got the same. I got 3. Yeah. One in the back pocket. Tire pressure?
40 psi on a 40 meter tire.
I got bugs and I got some tubes. I don't know how to use bugs. What do you do?
Just stick it in, pull it out, and then leave a little cruiser, and you're good. Wait and see.
What's your name?
Mark.
Mark? Calgary.
You guys look related. You guys just meet today.
Right now.
That's the spirit of gravel. You guys are like best friends from Scarborough, Ontario. You said you're from
Calgary,
Alberta.
Where are you from?
Calgary, Alberta. I haven't seen you around.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm just kidding.
What's happening behind?
That's a nice bag.
You guys got a 1 in 10 chance of being national champion right back there, right? 1 in 10. Like all things being equal.
Ontario guys. You know, I'm glad you're here before we separate from the country.
Last time I came out,
Anyone play that news?
I lived in Alberta for just under 3 years up in Peace River, and I came out from Montreal. When I came out, everyone said, "Welcome to Canada." It's weird, you know, like 30 years later, now it's like, hey, we're going to separate. You guys in Quebec, what are you guys talking about? We're all about it now.
But see, that's the cool thing about just bike racing, man. No one cares here about politics or macroeconomics.
What's political is our difference entirely.
You're doomed. What's happening? What's going on?
What a character Mark is. I never did see him again during the race or after the race, and I looked for his name in the results. It wasn't there either, so he probably wasn't even in our category, and I don't know, but it was great catching up with him at the start. He's going, what's happening? Well, the race was starting. That's what's happening, and here it is.
Here we go. Best of luck. Clipped in. It's on. Look at those guys who just pulled up around the outside. Why is that? Young guys. All right, let's go. you. Yes, you in the blue. You're on the wrong side of the yellow line. I can see you. I've got my eye on you. This guy just won't stop, and I'm not the only one who sees it. You tell him. For these mass start gravel events, my experience is you gotta move up and get as close to the front as possible, because once it stretches out and gaps form, you may not be able to bridge gaps that are in front of you that you haven't even seen yet. So I was taking every single opportunity to move up, squeeze past, it was so important for me to just get up, because I started not quite at the back. There were 10 riders behind us, but yeah, I was well back, like 200 riders back, with the fastest riders up at the front. In a mass start, we had riders from all kinds of different categories racing together, but there's no real way to identify who's in which group other than looking at the front plate, because there were no back numbers. But the front plates didn't fit very well, so a lot of them were sort of tucked in underneath so you had to peer your head underneath as you rode by someone to try and see if they were in your age group. Like for me, being in 55 to 64, I was just looking for gray hair or no hair, and maybe they were in my age group. There's no other way for me to know, and I didn't know many of the riders. So that's one thing that made it really difficult to figure out who your true competitors were for the national title. The whole group stayed together. You could see there's a car still out front, maybe 30, 40 riders in front of me. After that paved section, the downhill, and we're starting into the gravel section. Now look carefully here. What you're gonna see is vibration. That's why it's so important to get the tire pressure correct, because if it's not, those vibrations are being absorbed by your body. Imagine your lower back. My lower back was killing. So over time, I'm getting used to the idea of, you know what? Bigger tires and lower tire pressure is just going to put you in a better spot throughout the race, and especially near the end of the race when you need to have that energy, not just suffering pain in your lower back. Hey! The road looks smooth, but it's not. Here we can spot a group moving up in a single line on the left, and everyone's sort of peering over. but not wanting to cross the bumpy divide in between. Here, this guy's onto it. He's like, oh, I'm going to make it through this rougher section, get in behind. These guys must have a smoother section over here. And we're all thinking that. This is some hard riding. We've been going uphill for a while now, and you can see by the pedaling action of these riders, there's zero souplesse. Uh-oh, imminent equipment failure as the camera itself at the base is beginning to crack because of all these vibrations that it's not absorbing anymore. With the gradient evening out, the pace relented. So I took a flyer up the left side and moved up the group. Look at how many riders I'm going past. Everyone's catching their breath here. And I'm probably as far forward as I'm going to actually get in this race. I tuck in here and catch my breath. Do you see what's happening here? I'm losing all of the spots I just gained. Arrgh. Do you notice how quickly we went from 3 to 4 riders abreast to just single file and holding on to the wheel in front of you? So the heat was on at the front of the race. I didn't see any of it. I'm just looking at this guy in front of me, trying to close that gap and get as much draft as I could. This guy on the left must have redlined, and once that happens, look at him drop back like a stone. Looks like I'm the ticket collector at the back of the bus, and that guy didn't have fare, and off he goes. This group of 5-6 riders I'm with are gapped off the back, and you can see that guy in blue and white. He's bridging up to that purple rider, and I got some work to do. The reason I didn't bridge up to that rider right away is because I couldn't. And I am sucking wind here. Look at this. I am at the end of my reserves. There's a rider coming up behind. You can see that shadow. So maybe just one of the group of 5 or 6 could make it back. And we're really at the back of this group. In the shadow in front, you could see that I did manage to bridge up to that rider just in front. Despite my best efforts, I just wasn't able to catch my breath. Time for some excuses. I think it was related to the elevation change when I'm used to at home and flying in yesterday. And here I am racing. We're up here higher elevation and I can't catch my breath. The group has reconsolidated and I'm right at the back. So I made it through that split, but will I make it through the next one? We'll see. That's where the hands-free mode ends, as the camera was bouncing around so badly that I reached for it and I could tell it was about to snap off, and that would have been no more camera. I unscrewed it from the base that was connected to the handlebars and put it in my back pocket. Later I found out there's just a crack in the frame itself. It's not a warranty item because you shouldn't be using it in this way. So capturing videos like this in a gravel race, there's got to be a better solution, because the weight of the camera as it's sitting off of the handlebars just adds to the vibration. So it needs to be either on your chest but then your arms are sort of in the way. I don't know, there's not a great solution yet. I haven't figured it out. The pace wasn't letting up. we kept climbing and groups were getting dropped off the back and we weren't able to reconsolidate with the lead group. So I ended up in a smaller group off the back, and even out of that group, I lost my job as ticket collector because I got dropped off the back of that group and the guy in front of me got dropped off as well. So he was alone, I was alone, and then we started descending and left, right, left, and he was just out of sight. And I was just riding alone for about 30, 45 minutes. I just kind of accepted that I was going to be riding alone. I was already pretty spent. I hadn't recovered very well. I felt like this elevation was getting to me. And then I was on another climb and I was slowing down and I noticed a group coming up from behind. I thought, okay, rest, just whoa, take it easy so that you can latch onto this group that had been dropped, well, before I got dropped. And I was able to grab the back of that group and we just as we sort of were cresting the climb, and I recovered on the downhill and pretty much stayed with that group. It changed a little, like there was about 6 riders. We dropped a couple, gained a couple who had mechanicals, and we pretty much rode the rest of the race, like half the race, as a group of 5, 6 riders. There was no one else in my age category. I wasn't sure if there was anyone ahead of me who was in my age category. I had no way of knowing. Really just was doing my best to stay with this group. At one point I got dropped and I was chasing 5 guys by myself for like 5 minutes after this climb. I was spent. So luckily we had turned onto a paved area and I was able to, probably because my tire pressure was too high, I did better on the paved area and was able to just catch back up to this group and then hang with them until the end of the race. And wouldn't you know it, once we get headed towards the end, even though we're not in it, like we know there's a bunch of riders ahead of us, we don't know how many are behind us, we all sort of get into this mode of let's sprint up this hill and towards the finish line just because. And I did pull out my camera to catch some of that action, so here it is. Seriously, you try filming a sprint when you're doing the sprint at full maximum effort. Yes, so I messed that up, and Gus DeGroot, who was in the blue, did win it, and I came around in second. But really, if you look at it, it felt a lot more like we were sprinting for the road sign, you know, on our group ride, and you just do it 'cause. So that's how that worked out. I did capture some post-event debrief, and this is with Dan Wood. The angles are not great, but here's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I thought you got up to us.
I was solo on a pretty long climb, and a group of you, like at that time we were 6, and you came up to...
okay. I didn't remember.
I'm at kilometer 50, like 70 more. Oh, that's going to be tough. And I kept thinking, have I chosen a smoother path? Maybe I'm lucky and I have.
Yeah, that's going to bring it in. Well, probably on the pavement, we rolled it back in.
Yeah, kind of. We hit the pavement and then I rolled it back. Wow, look, we're really getting some cooling off.
The last 2 years it's been like this for the entire race.
Wow, what timing we had.
Anyway, I can see it worlds anyway.
Right on. Yeah, it's always nice to know that if you drop back a little.
Not intentionally, but if I happen to be there.
That's like my angel. Gravel Worlds in 2024, there was a Canadian rider who had been in the age group just younger than mine, who was in front of me, who had come back a bit, and I had caught up to him in this group of riders, And he helped me actually quite a bit in later stages of the race. And guess who that was? That was Dan Wood. And here I am seeing him and actually meeting him for the first time and thanking him. And that's what that was referenced to. It took about 15 minutes till after the race to determine the actual results, because there's no cell coverage out there, and it was really spotty, and you kind of had to ride away a bit and have a look. And then I found out after that I was in fact the Canadian champ in my age group. So I stuck around, of course, for the awards, and here's some photos of the awards ceremony. The race is over. It's about 2 in the afternoon. I've got a red eye back from Calgary, and that's gonna leave, I've got maybe 10 hours. So I'm an hour and a half from Banff. It's on, let's go, let's check it out. And here's a couple of images. If you're ever so lucky to be in that area, go. Here's why. Drove over to Banff to check it out. Wow, is it ever peaceful? Banff itself, packed full of tourists. Just go a little further and a 1 kilometer hike and you get the you just feel small. Check those falls, the amount of water coming through here.